What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and heading into 2022, we are going over some of the biggest RPG questions out there. This will be a series of videos where I actually talk about a variety of different RPGs, what you can expect, upcoming games, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. And we're starting out with Dragon Quest 12 on unannounced platforms. So this is the next big Dragon Quest game that looks like it's going to be a departure from what the Dragon Quest series is usually known for. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure it's still going to have that Akira Toriyama look to it. It's still going to be a Dragon Quest game. There's still going to be similar enemies and environments. But what they're trying to do with this game is that they're trying to actually make a push for more of a worldwide launch and appeal, and even more of a Western push than what they did before with Dragon Quest XI's. Because for those who don't know, Dragon Quest has always launched in Japan first. Everything happens there, and then eventually it comes to the US. Eventually it comes to the Western territory. So it's always been very segmented, even up to 2-3 years, depending on what game you're talking about. So for example, Dragon Quest XI launched on the PlayStation 4 and also Nintendo 3DS. And then like a year later, it launched on the PlayStation 4, and there wasn't even the 3DS version here in the West. And then like another year after that, it launched for the Nintendo Switch. So it's always been segmented when it comes down to things. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to unify the Dragon Quest base and having a worldwide release. We're seeing a lot of these companies that have these traditional Japan first type of games launch worldwide now. We saw it for the first time ever, Atlas, with one of their major RPGs between Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei 5 had a worldwide simultaneous launch on the Nintendo Switch, which that was very important in my opinion for the hype, for the production, for the non-spoilers. I mean, there's just so many reasons why that you want to get that done. And I think that it actually does improve the sales because it can stop spoilers from leaking out, people from going online and having some type of like mod packs or whatever the case is, or translation packs, and all this different type of stuff that people can do if they want to just play the game sooner because you're taking quite some time for localization. So I feel that Dragon Quest 12 having a simultaneous or having a more of a Western push to where they can get the game out in all regions, that is a good thing because it looks like they're clearly trying to go for that in this next one. Now, we don't know platforms at this point, guys. We don't know exactly what's going on there, but from what I understand, there's some rumors out there, at least more like a listing from one retailer that says Switch, not so sure about that, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. I mean, that would be a lock in my opinion that it's probably going to be a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 game in addition to an Xbox and Xbox Series game. That's what I would expect. We do know that a lot of Dragon Quest games don't usually come to Xbox platforms, but the latest Dragon Quest game did come to the Xbox platform. It was on Game Pass, but I will say that Microsoft did, I guess, pay for that too. So there is some type of, okay, well, if they're not paying for it, would it come at all? Obviously, you have to look at Dragon Quest being a game that in Japan is just so big, and pretty much the PlayStation and Xbox brands don't really sell too much in Japan. Those games have started tanking when it comes to game sales. So does that mean that they're going to make a dedicated Switch version of the game with Dragon Quest 12? Some people are thinking, not so sure about that. Some people feel that it is. The retailer has it listed for Switch and PlayStation. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that game. I know that they're going to be using the Unreal tech, the newest one and everything, so it's probably going to be a game that looks very impressive. For example, like Tales of Arise, that went way more high end with this game, although I will say that Dragon Quest XI's, that game looks very good, uses Unreal Engine 4. It's a fantastic game built with that engine. So we'll see what happens for the next Dragon Quest game. I think Dragon Quest 12 should be a great experience because they're taking their time with it. I think that they've learned quite a bit when it comes to the different types of combat options and things that they can do, skill trees. Dragon Quest XI's was so good in so many different respects when it comes to what that game did. So I'm guessing that it's going to be a pretty impressive experience when we see Dragon Quest 12. We're just going to have to wait for that. I think that the first information and footage does come in 2022. We'll find out more about this game. We'll get like a teaser trailer, or we'll get like an actual actual gameplay trailer. They'll probably give us a breakdown of what the character is about and what the story, the general guidelines. Will probably be some type of big presentation. Square Enix presents, a Dragon Quest presents, so it should be pretty good. So next up is the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. I am very excited about this one. It looks like this is going to be a 2022 game, and once again, a simultaneous launch worldwide for consoles. And this is pretty much a lock to be Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and PC, at least at launch. I mean, they might have Xbox as well. There was Octopath Traveler for the Xbox, but once again, Microsoft did pay for that. It did come later down the line, so we'll see what they do with it when it comes to platforms, because all they've said is consoles. But yeah, the HD 2D games, those are made on Unreal Engine 4, and it has that really unique, cool looking art style. And what makes this one so exciting is because Dragon Quest III is one of the best Dragon Quest games. It is one of the most beloved and best Dragon Quest games, and it's one of the pinnacles of the old school Dragon Quest games. So I'm very excited to play this one here. And what I love about this, and I know this is a little thing, but what I love about it is that the original Dragon Quest games, they would make it to where whenever you fight, you don't see your character at all. A lot of the old ones, you don't see them at all in the battle screen. Now, when you're out of it, yeah, you're walking around in town, you do see them. But when you're in the battle screen, you don't see them at all. It's all like a first-person view. That always irked me. Earthbound had that. Dragon Quest had that. I know Shin Megami Tensei games had that. And I've never liked that at all. I don't like that. And I don't know why I don't like it, but I just don't like it. But anyway, so with this one here, it's still like the first person view, but when you're not fighting, when you're not actually about to pick something, it actually zooms out and it shows like a little bit of a tilted camera angle, almost like a golden sun when it comes to where you see your character and also the enemy as well. And to me, that just makes it just like shot up my list. I was still gonna play it regardless. I was gonna play the game, but that little thing right there just makes it even higher up on my, okay, I definitely want to play now, just because for some reason I've never liked that whole first person type of thing. Maybe because I don't like first person games at all. I've never been a big fan of them, so maybe that's the reason why, and it turns like my RPGs into that. But yeah, this Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake, skip all of the camera angles and whatever the case is. The game itself, when it comes to the story, the characters, the combat, the leveling, all of that is incredible, and it's being done in the HD 2D engine. I mean, that engine is beautiful. I love Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategies coming out. Those games look phenomenal, so I cannot wait to see how they do this with the Dragon Quest world, especially with the game as highly regarded as Dragon Quest III. So very much looking forward to playing that game, because I did check it out on the Nintendo Switch, and it's fantastic with the old school graphics and everything, but having a new coat of paint but still retaining that vibe of that classic Dragon Quest is so cool, to be honest. And honestly, this is going to be a huge game when it launches. Like, expect massive sales numbers for Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. It's going to be pretty impressive, and I think that even here in the West, it's going to sell extremely well. So Dragon Quest XI kind of initiated the worldwide push for the Dragon Quest brand when it comes to sales wise. That game sold extremely well worldwide, and I think that Dragon Quest XII and Dragon Quest III are going to even take it to the next step when it comes to Dragon Quest and its push for more of a worldwide base as a big RPG, a big brand worldwide. Now, next up is something that I want to talk about quite a bit, and I'll probably have a whole separate video for this one here, but it's Shin Megami Tensei 5. What is next for this after the launch of Shin Megami Tensei 5? It had a successful launch so far. People are enjoying the heck out of it. It had the highest dollar sales amount for any Shin Megami Tensei game here in the West. Did okay in Japan as well. It's gotten a little bit of some discounts, so people are picking it up and picking it up. I've had literally thousands of people reach out to me and say, hey, OJ, I saw your coverage on Shin Megami Tensei 5. I purchased the game, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, or it's one of my favorite games that I've played this year, or I'm just addicted to this game. And yeah, once again, I have to agree, SMT5 is absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's one of my favorite games, of course, of all time, and definitely was my most played game of 2021 on the Nintendo Switch, despite coming out at the end of the year. And me playing lots of other games like Bravely Default and Persona 5 Strikers and plenty of other games, Monster Hunter Stories 2, that I put a lot of time into, Monster Hunter Rise as well, and this game came out and just blew me away. I knew that I was going to love the game, but man, I was not ready for how good SMT5 is. So that begs the question, what's next for SMT? So I was thinking this would be really cool if they did something like they did with SMT4. SMT4 was so good, you couldn't just like leave that alone, right? If it was gonna be a while for the next SMT game, which it did take a hot minute for the next SMT game from SMT4, why just leave it? You have the engine, you have the gameplay, you have the demons, you have everything that you laid out to do for that HD system. You should definitely do a Shin Megami Tensei 5 Final or Shin Megami Tensei 5 2 or something in the line of taking that, refining it, making it better, improving the graphics, improving the popping, doing everything there, adding in new demons, add a new story. You have that whole basis there. It makes no sense to sit here and wait however many years for the next Shin Megami Tensei console game when you have that base right there. You can do with what Monolithsoft did, right? With like a Torna or something like that, or with like what they already did with SMT4 and make like an extension of that final game or extension of that other game that was so well received. And I think that Shin Megami Tensei 5 has options to do that. There are multiple options to do that. Like I said, they have the base, they have the gameplay, they have everything that's so good. In the next year and a half to 2 years, if they came out with the Shin Megami Tensei 5 Apocalypse or Shin Megami Tensei 5 Final, I'm just using the Japanese and English names for Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse or Shin Megami Tensei 4 Final. So if they just did that with SMT5, I think that would be so much appreciated because the gameplay in this game is so good. They can tweak it, make new Makatsuri skills. They can add about maybe 30 to 50 demons. They can just increase the quality of the game when it comes to, of course, stabilizing things. Once again, making sure that the engine is even better running on the Nintendo Switch. There's so much stuff that they can do to increase a game that I already felt was the best game of the year by far, one of my favorite games of all time, and even make that better. So I really hope that we get an SMT5 Final or something like that, and I'm definitely going to have more to say on this. I hope that Atlas is listening. Atlas, you know, I worked with you guys before. Hopefully you guys are listening when it comes to this, because there's no reason for us to wait so many years for the next big SMT6 game or whatever the case is. Just take that game, give that to a side team, give that to some other people as well. Let them work on that. Now that most of the work when it comes to assets and all that is done, and I think that you would have another hit on your hands, and fans would be very happy with that as we wait for the next Persona game, as we wait for the next big Shin Megami Tensei game or the next port of older ones. Hopefully we see that with SMT, and I'm so happy that SMT5 finally came out and so many new people are getting into the franchise and it's getting more popular. Persona is getting more popular. SMT is getting more popular. SMT3 Nocturne HD Remaster, more people are going out and buying that game now. So this is awesome to see that people are getting more into SMT and more into the Atlas RPG brand. So next up after this is Monolithsoft's next game. What is going on with Monolithsoft? What is going on with what they're doing? So I've made multiple videos about this. We've talked about Xenoblade Chronicles X multiple times on this channel. You can check out all the videos. They're up for you guys. Just look there, just type it in. You will see it with the thumbnails and everything. We've talked about the new IP, which could maybe be there's something there, right? We don't really know at this point what they're working on with it. And then we've also talked about the rumor that came out with the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and how it's going to be more of a continuation of what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but multiple years in the future, but a bunch of new things and highly polished high-end graphics for the Nintendo Switch at least. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this, man. I mean, Monolithsoft's new game is an enigma, but I have heard rumors and I have gotten some information myself that their next game is ready to be announced, and it could have happened this year, but it didn't. I think that maybe the Bayonetta 3 announcement kind of took the slot of it, but it is going to happen next year. We will hear about the next Monolithsoft game next year, and I would probably target when we're going to hear about it. I'd probably target spring. I think spring is a very good time for us to hear about the next Monolithsoft project. It has been years. It has been multiple years since the last new Monolithsoft game. Yes, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torn of the Golden Country. That was in 2018. That was a new game, but once again, that was built off the side teams. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, already a smaller experience. And then, of course, we did get Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. But once again, that is a older game. That's from the Wii, right? Where they kind of just remastered that game, put it out. So we haven't gotten anything new from Monolithsoft since 2017. And we haven't gotten anything from the Takahashi Team 1 since Xenoblade Chronicles X. That was in 2015, right? That was 2015 if I'm not correct. So it's been so long, right? 2015, if you think about it, not at this point, that's going to be 7 years from the last big Takahashi Team 1 game. That's just nuts to think about, right? Because Takahashi Team 1, obviously, the original Xenoblade Chronicles X, but they've just been working on something. Obviously, they've been doing engine optimization. They have multiple teams, Takahashi Team 1. They have multiple different teams that work on stuff. They have other teams that help supplement with what Nintendo's doing, Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing, other games like that. But they still have that dedicated team. For those who don't know, they have like 5 different teams, right? They still have that dedicated team that's still working on the next Monolithsoft project. So man, I am excited to see what they do next. There's gotta be something, and I think that we finally hear about it in 2022. And here's what I'm hoping for. This is like the best case scenario. The best case scenario is that they have another one of their side teams that's working on a Xenoblade Chronicles X port. So I think that that would be fantastic if we got that. And if it was even a bit bigger than what we expected when it comes to a port, so they really kind of make it like a definitive edition and even add some extra content to it, maybe a little side story at the end to kind of wrap things up there like they did with Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected. I think that would be really cool. And then also we hear about their next project, whether that's a brand new IP and it launches at the end of the year or middle of the year, or it's Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That is the best case scenario. So if all of that happened, man, I would be over the moon, because that would just be so hype if that would happen with Monolithsoft. So I'm hoping that's it. I mean, at the worst case, maybe we get Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that's still very good. And we don't hear about any new big game, but we do at least get Xenoblade Chronicles X. And maybe even if we just don't get Xenoblade Chronicles X, maybe that game is just stuck in Wii U hell at this point. Maybe we just get their new game. They just announced a new game, which is still very good. So I think no matter what option I've kind of laid out here, it's still a good thing when it comes down to it. So I'm okay with that if any one of those options happen, and one of them is definitely going to happen. Now, next up, we've talked about this before. We're going to talk about it again. Persona ports 2022. Atlas is teasing them. The Persona director is teasing them with the 25th anniversary. The continuation of the 25th anniversary of Persona continues on into 2022. So I do feel that there is going to be some Persona ports. There's going to be Persona 3. There's going to be Persona 4. Those games are going to get ported over to PlayStation, PC, and the Nintendo Switch. We've also had rumors and even a somewhat leak from Sega themselves on the Persona 4 Arena Ultimax web page that just showed it like the Midnight Edition or whatever the case is with that's Persona 4, right? With the other systems. So I think that that's going to happen. Sega is going to do that. They've obviously made a ton of money off of Persona 4 Golden on Steam. They're going to make a good amount of money on Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. They're porting over quite a number of their games to Switch. They've been announcing them left and right with Persona 4 Arena Ultimax and also with 13 Sentinels as well. Both of those games coming in early 2022 with, I think, March and April kind of respectively with those. So yeah, it's definitely going to be happening. I know people tend to think that it's not, but I feel that it will be happening when it comes to it. But I think that they have to make sure that they do this in the right way, just because there's a lot of games coming and they might kind of eat off each other. So I think they have to kind of separate them, right? Persona 3 and Persona 4 need to be separated by quite some distance. You're not going to have them all together, and they're not going to do like a bundled package. They're going to want to sell them individually. And then the pricing on those, what is the pricing going to be? Is that going to be a $60 title? Because on Steam it was $20 for Persona 4 Golden, and I highly doubt that they're going to charge $20 for Persona 4 Golden or Persona 3 remastered on the Nintendo Switch, especially if these are a little bit more in depth with what they're doing with the games. I'm guessing it's not going to be $20. I'm guessing it's going to be minimum, you know, at the least minimum $40, and probably more like $50 or even $60. I mean, they might charge that. SMT Nocturne HD Remaster, that was $50. So if they charge $50 for SMT, they're definitely going to charge at least $50 for Persona, maybe even 60, depending on what they do with Persona 3 and Persona 4. So we'll see what happens in the future for those, but I definitely think those are happening in terms of at least announcements in 2022 for both of those. Now, last but definitely not least is Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm going to have another separate video on this, and this game's coming out very soon here, depending on when you're watching this. It might already be out for some of you guys watching this late, but yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out late January. Right now at this point, is this game going to be good? Is this game going to hold up to what the Pokemon company is capable of? Because we all know that they're capable of greatness, but this is a departure from what they've done before. This is something very different than what the Pokemon games are used to having. It's not a multiplayer focused game like most Pokemon games are. It's focused on the single player. From what we understand, there's some rumors out there that it's going to be kind of grindy. There's going to be crafting and customization. There's a lot of new elements to this Pokemon game that we haven't seen before traditionally in other Pokemon games in terms of from a single player experience. So Pokemon Legends Arceus is definitely intriguing many people out there. They've been showing some more information on this game and showing some more footage of it. And while it does look great, it definitely has some people a bit nervous with what they're going to do with this one, since there isn't that multiplayer aspect of catching and fighting against your friends. I mean, you do have multiplayer trading, which is awesome, but there isn't that multiplayer battle experience. But I think that taking that multiplayer battle experience now gives them the ability to kind of focus in on the single player experience and kind of make moves and combat and different things tuned to that. Because one thing about Pokemon is that whether you play it single player or you play it multiplayer, they have to balance it for that multiplayer. So you can't do certain things in the single player because those Pokemon are also going to be played in the multiplayer. Whereas in a game like Shin Megami Tensei, for example, which is kind of like a mature Pokemon game, you can do multiple things in the battle system that you wouldn't be able to do in multiplayer just because it's a single player experience. So I think that they do have that going for them. So that's why I feel that this game is definitely going to be a bit more involved and probably the best single player experience that we've seen for a Pokemon game in a long time. We're also hearing rumors that the game is harder than most Pokemon games, and that's something that fans have been looking for. I'm really hoping for multiple difficulty levels. I think that if they did that, which Pokemon games just don't do, that would be very good, because this game has action elements combined with the turn-based elements as well. So your own character, you're going to be able to go into fights and you're going to have some of these big Pokemon attacking you, and you have to like dodge out of the way, and you kind of have to fight back with your Pokemon, and then you have different styles that you can switch to. There is a lot of dynamic elements in this game that make stuff like Persona and make stuff like Shin Megami Tensei so fun to play, whereas the Pokemon company and the Pokemon games have not evolved to that at this point. But we're seeing it now. We could be seeing the next evolution of a single player branded Pokemon game to where it can be taken to the levels of what we see with SMT or something like that, right? So I'm really hoping that Pokemon Legends Arceus turns out good, and I feel that based on it being a single player focused game, I think that it really could turn out to be a lot better than maybe people are expecting. But we'll see how it looks once we actually get it into our hands, because seeing it on YouTube or whatever the case is one thing, but actually seeing it on your Nintendo Switch OLED or on your TV is another thing. So we'll see how that plays out. But once again, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be solid, but we're going to have to talk about that another day as we get more information on the game and everything. So what are your thoughts on all the big RPG news, all the big RPG games heading into 2022? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.